and please share. Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Ronnie Dior, and we are back for another day of 14 days of love. And I'm excited. It is day 10, y'all. We almost at the end, y'all. But we are in week 2, where it is love thy spouse. We're giving y'all a chance to come on in the room. Y'all know how we do. And we're giving you guys time to also share, because we know sharing is caring. So take the time to share. Let your friends, let your boo, let everybody know that we are on as we give you guys a chance to log in. Hello, hello, hello. I believe I hear you.
Can y'all hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. We are letting those start getting ready to come on into the room, and
Did
we're
you
also giving them a chance to share.
did you put this in the you and me ministry line
People are on. I don't know the you and me ministry line.
on the group me?
I put the flyer in the group me, and then I tagged Mount Zion, but that's I just like the regular WOZ and the leaders.
Pastor, I don't see them in there. I'm looking. I don't see them in there.
Mm,
Okay, let me share this video link.
yeah. You're right. Thank you. I'll add it right quick.
Okay. And if for whatever reason, here's the link like that we're on right now. If anybody wanted to just take it and post it somewhere or share it with somebody.
Okay.
You see it, Sister Phyllis?
Yes. All right.
Hello, 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 everyone. We are here for another night, 14 Days of Love. It's day 10, week 2, Love Thy Spouse. And like we always do, giving you guys a chance to come on in the room. So as you log in, you call your boo, make sure they logged in. Also, share the link because sharing is caring. Sharing is lovely. So make sure that you pass it around. Make sure people are in for tonight. It is going to be a good night. You're in for a wonderful treat, if I have to say so myself, because I've nibbled on some of their conversations and teachings from other conversations. So I'm pretty sure tonight is going to be a very good one, and you already know the topic: happy spouse, happy house. So we have to understand we're going to get into some real topics. And so I know that you're ready because I am ready. They are ready. And we're giving you 4 more minutes to get the also ready. So bring it on in, bring it on in. Go get yourself some water, something to drink, a pen, a notebook because you want to take notes. Hello? And be ready for tonight. Hello, Charles. Hello, Tamika. Thank you for coming back for yet another wonderful night. Hello, Ingrid. I'm assuming James is somewhere roundabout. Let me send that out real quick. It is yet another wonderful day on 14 Days of Love. Now, yesterday was the pre recorded video by yours truly, and we talked about say less. And so I'm hoping that you had a chance to watch that and view that as well, and that it blessed you, that it at least taught you um, the nonverbal and verbal cues and how important that is to communicating with your spouse. Hello, Simply Spontaneous Sonia. Welcome to the building. Welcome to the live. Make sure I put the topic for tonight. And let's hope that by the time we end this here topic tonight, we have some happy spouses and some happy houses. Hello, somebody. Just a couple of more minutes and then we're going to get started. So make sure your friends get on in.
Do you, Chris or Ashley? Do we have them in there?
If you have joined recently since I've greeted you all, can you please send me a quick hello in the chat so I can shout you out? So I'm not seeing. Hey, James, massive mobile window tinting checking in. I don't see. Do we have Chris in the building? Or who else you said, Phyllis?
Or Ashley, or Rayshawn or Erica?
If Ashley, Rashawn, Erica, or Chris are in the building, we on, cousin Phyllis.
Okay. All right.
Hello, Chris and Ashley. How are you on tonight? I hope tonight gives you everything that you need, everything that you want. I was just mentioning that by registering for 14 Days of Love, you have access to all of the videos that we've done so far. So we have done some live streams, and then some of our speakers have actually recorded videos. And so all of that is in one particular house on the YouTube channel, Ronnie Do Your YouTube channel, and there's a particular link that allows you to see all of those videos. So the old videos, the new videos, the videos that are to come. And we were just talking about yesterday was the pre-recorded video called Say Less. And that was by yours truly talking to you about the importance of communication and how nonverbal cues come up a lot when we are communicating, to the point where most of us respond to the nonverbal cues more than we do the verbal cues. And so making sure that you understand how that may be infiltrating your communication, your conversation. And tonight, we are going to be live on Happy Spouse, Happy House. And so we are 5 minutes after the hour. And so I want to welcome you to 14 Days of Love Conference. We are in week 2, where it is all about the spouses. And it is what we're calling Love Thy Spouse. It is day 10, y'all. We are almost at the end, everyone. And it is a wonderful time that we have been having thus far. If you don't believe me, ask those who have been a part of it since day one. They have been talking of how good it has been for them. So today is day 10, and we are talking happy spouse, happy house with some wonderful guests that will speak on this topic on our behalf. So I won't be talking all night. I'll just be moderating with my lovely fiance, Mr. Avery. We're going to tag team this spouse half of things. So I would like to briefly introduce the guests who are going to be on for tonight. We have none other than Stanley Murray and his beautiful wife, Tamika Murray, in all of her glory, with Reggie Palmer and his wife, Phyllis Palmer, to talk about what it takes to have a happy house and a happy spouse. But before we get started, I have a couple disclaimers. First, we encourage all of you to interact, but please be mindful: no profanity or explicit language. Also, the guests, they might be sharing personal stories. So please be careful with their disclosure as to not exploit them or take it out of context or use it to shame them in any way, because they're just trying to keep it real with you so you can keep it real with yourself. Hello, somebody. We are not here to shame anybody on their actions or what you used to do. We're just merely trying to help you unpack some better tools, healthier tools, and how to interact and make sure that the house that you live in with your spouse is one of love and of a healthy discourse. May I also add, I am a licensed mental health therapist. Pastor Murray is an ordained pastor and pastoral counselor. This conference does not replace receiving your own services from your own licensed mental health therapist, marriage and family counselor, or your own pastor for pastoral counseling. Okay? It does not take the place of that. We are merely introducing techniques, conversations, and other approaches that are necessary for you to start loving your spouse in a greater way. So, if you would like to have those services, you can contact me with resources that I may be able to give to you, or find some providers in your local area to be able to reach out and help with that as well. Finally, remember my motto: if you want to heal, you got to keep it real. On with the show. All right. So, at the end of the show, we will be doing a Happy Spouse, Happy House raffle, but you have to be registered in order to win. Our raffle is going to be sponsored by Nettie G's Cuisine and the Dior Movement. So, real briefly, I would like again to say hello to my wonderful guests on tonight. We have Pastor Stanley Murray, who is the senior pastor of Mount Zion Tabernacle Christian Church, located on 2985 Silver Star Road, right here in Orlando, Florida. And I can do a shameless plug because it's my show. He is also a police officer, father of four, and husband of one. Hello, somebody. Tamika Murray, mother of said children, loving wife, and business owner. Reggie Palmer, father, husband, and director in behavioral health care. And Phyllis Palmer, mother of two, charming wife of Reggie Palmer, with her own master's in social work. Now, I know you're like, why you have to do all those receipts? Why you have to say all their names? Let me explain something. Sometimes people can receive when they understand the credentials that go behind some of the speakers that are coming to speak. So when we're talking about happy spouse, happy house, we're talking about people who have been married more than 25 years that are going to be speaking on this show. We're talking about people who have children and grown at this point and had to reconnect in their marriage. We're talking about people who are busy and out here making moves and making things happen, but still have to find time to make their spouse in the happy house. So as they're talking, I ran down their credentials just so that you can understand we're not just talking about somebody who doesn't understand what you are dealing with and what you need to hear so that you can make sure that you have the happy house. So without further ado, let's go ahead and turn this thing over. Hey y'all.
Hey,
Good evening.
Hey,
hi.
how we doing?
We doing good. We doing good. We doing great. So, viewers, we're gonna start with y'all. Put a house emoji in the chat if sometimes in your existence and being with your spouse, your home feels like a house where you reside and not always a happy home. Now, don't be afraid to keep it honest. Like I told you, we keep it honest, we keep it real. Throw a house in the chat. If sometimes you can say it's a house more than it's a home. And for those who can't do the emoji, you know, I like to do just say, I agree, I understand.
She's trying to
So
say
talk
Pastor
to us,
Murray
talk
and
to
I
us.
was pain.
What did you just say? Ah. We got some houses coming through. We got some houses coming through. Yes. So as the houses are coming through the chat, Pastor Murray and Lady Murray, can you talk to us about house versus home?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us tonight. We give honor to our God who continues to serve not just in our church and on our jobs, but in our household and in our ministry
Amen.
of loving each other. I would go to say that when you go to purchase, um, you look at purchasing a house for sale. Rarely does it say home for sale, it
Mm,
says house for sale. And really, when they say that's because at that time, that house may be vacant and there's nothing in it that would give it the title of a home. Until you move people, places, and things into that particular part of the home as it becomes a home. But then, even after that, what keeps it a home? People are getting mail. That don't make it a home. Still keeps
Mm.
it a house. Folk park cars in the driveway. That represents that a house. Someone lives there. But when people begin to take their role in that house and understand that they are worthy, necessary, and needed in that house, that the house begins to feel like a home. Have you ever stayed at someone's house after a period of time? You can sometimes feel a little uncomfortable, not because they make
Mm.
you feel uncomfortable, because you feel that what? It's not my
House.
house.
Yeah.
I can feel welcome to a certain period of time. But what does it feel like when you live there
Mm.
and it is your place of residence, but you feel like you should be living somewhere else?
Mm. Mm.
Me and my wife, we are late homeowners, if you will, or house owners, if you will. We've only been in our home now, be what, 7 years on Mother's Day. That's when I got her this house on Mother's Day 2017 as a gift that she finally was able to say, I have my own place to call my own. Um, but in those 7 years, we have grown tremendously, understanding that a house needs upkeep. A house needs maintenance. A house,
Mm.
Mm.
those things to keep it running well. And so marriage is just like that. If I don't, one of our biggest things we battle with sometimes, if you don't flush your AC unit every month,
Mm.
it will remind you by shutting off.
Uh.
Mm.
What do
Okay.
I mean? If you don't spend that quality time flushing out those things that are, impurities that are in your marriage,
Uh huh.
it's going to shut it off. It's going to clog
Oh.
up and it's going to shut it off.
Mhm.
And so then you have to get someone of a specific talent that
Huh.
comes in and helps you to get your AC running again.
Break this
But
thing down.
so you think about those kinds of things in life and how important your man. So when I say house versus home, a house can have a natural value,
Mm.
right? But a home has that supernatural value.
Mm.
All right. But
Mm.
both need an appraisal.
Ha.
What you
Okay.
said. Listen,
Both
he
have
dropping these nuggets.
both need to be inspected. All right. And so our marriages sometimes have to be inspected. I'll step on a limb. My wife will tag along here in a minute. We decided to have a renewal of vows. 2 years now? 1 year now?
2
1 year?
years.
2 years now. Prior to that, now we're 30 something years together, right? Prior to that, we had counseling prior to the vow renewal. And we were able to open up and say some things that we probably would not have said without a third party who could hear our hearts. We learned some new verbiages, and we learned that, as a man, I can't always try to fix everything. That sometimes I just need to let my wife be heard, let her say what she needs to say, and I just intake it. And I may come back with, what do you think? What are you feeling led to do? Or maybe just say nothing. Or at the end of the day, encourage her in some kind of way. She's also a hotel manager, so she has a lot of stressful situations. And so at the end of all of our conversations, I always try to leave her empowered. And so I let her know that, you know what you're doing. Don't let them people think you ain't crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You know exactly what you're doing, but they're just testing you in so many ways in that. So those kinds of things I think help strengthen one another so that not if but when the maintenance is needed, you have a starting point. And because what you don't want to ever have your partner say is, well, you never support me or
Mm.
you never encourage me. Never and always are really harsh words. And
Yes.
sometimes we use them frivolously without thinking how they hurt. When you say never, that means never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever. That's what
Mm-hmm.
people hear. And it may not be that way, but be very careful. What does home mean to you? No?
He said it all. I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I agree with everything he just said.
She's got her points, so we're going to get to her points later.
Oh, okay, okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to tag on to that, Phyllis or Reggie, about anything they said or your own perspective of house and home? And don't forget, you guys can always chime in the comment section as well.
Well, I would just say I think a house is, to me, a house is lonely,
Mm,
but a home is loving. And
mm,
so
Mm,
there is a difference between lonely and loving. I mean, when you come in from work, you want to come home to a loving home. It's
okay.
love a lonely home. Although both are busy, and work just as hard as the next, someone have to have the ability to show someone love. Hey, honey, how you doing today? How was your day? And different things like that. Versus everyone come in and everybody go their separate ways.
Mm,
That's a lonely house. And so when you have a loving home, you want to know what's going on with each other, how each other day was before you go on to doing your things. And maybe one say, okay, honey, I'm hungry. I didn't feel like cooking today, or different things like that. The other one take it, well, maybe I'll cook, or maybe we just go out and eat, and different
mm.
things like that. So you take the time to make each other feel special, regardless of what, so I just think a house is very lonely because it's almost like you're there by yourself. Nobody's there,
Mm.
but a home is very loving and supporting. So that's what I would tag on.
Okay, okay. Now, anyone in the comment section, Geraldine said, good stuff. This is good stuff thus far. She already picking up some nuggets. Anybody else want to chime in the comment section? Anything they want to say concerning the comments that have been made about a house versus a home? And it's getting ready to make me change the topic from happy spouse to happy home because we're building a home here, not just a house. So that was good. That was good. All right. So put a house in the chat if you understand that there are levels in marriages and relationships, but with each new level, Lord have mercy, comes a new devil. So put a house in the chat if you understand how each new either that marriages have levels, and with each new level, in comes another devil, in comes another situation, in comes something else that you have to deal with, especially when you're talking about longevity, when you're talking about years in the game. So let me see some houses drop in there, and I'm going to send this link. We got some houses coming in. All right. So, um, Pastor, can you start off talking about the levels against the devil, and then Reggie, Tamika, or Phyllis, you guys can jump in at any point in time.
okay. Well, since we're still using the house metaphor, when you begin to
Mm,
look at a the difference between a one level house and a two-level home is heat rises.
huh?
And so as you begin to move up the ladder of your marriage,
Huh?
if you don't handle what's handling down below, it eventually follows you back up.
Mhm.
If you don't get those things addressed early, you're going to see them late.
Mm. Listen, these nuggets now.
So in the cold weather, that cold weather does what? It goes up. So that
Hmm.
cold feeling you got on one level, you could visit that cold level on the second level at a much colder temperature. And I don't know about you, but at my age, um, I'm more of a, I guess you could say I'm more touchy feely, right? Me
Sometimes, yeah,
than you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm more touchy feely than her. So
Mhm.
I don't like not being able to touch her with my feet or my hands.
Mm.
And we got a king size bed. And so I like to be able to still lay across the bed just so I can, reach her. But when it's
and
cold,
kick and push me out the bed.
stay focused. People want to
Okay,
hear
okay,
what's good. Don't tell them everything was wrong with us. But anyway, but there are times that my wife can get the cover and tuck it under her hip,
that's right.
and I'm not quite sure what that means.
Touch me. I don't know.
but but the God in me will not allow that, Pastor Palmer. I will make sure to, as old folk, check it in a place, a position
Yes.
that allows me to remain in the status of a happy spouse. Ain't the Lord all right?
Ain't he all right, Johnny? Said, help
Sometimes,
somebody.
sometimes, even in the bedroom, my brothers and sisters, you have to fight for your position. Because if you do not, you allow the enemy to lay between you and your spouse.
Oh,
I refuse to do so.
Yes.
And this is the levels.
Yes.
yeah.
As those levels change, you begin to learn and understand how important intimacy is. I didn't say sex. Intimacy. You want to feel that you're in the bed with the person you want to be in the bed with. You
Right.
don't ever want to feel that you're laying next to a roommate. You don't want to feel that you're laying next to the co-bill payer. You don't want to. It will demoralize you as a person, man or woman. It will demoralize your position, husband or wife, and most of all, it will cause you to not be effective to be a blessing to other people.
Oh.
And that's what I'm more concerned about. As we are on here tonight, it is very disheartening if we know we got a constant on and off marriage. But then we want to come over here and
Wow.
blaspheme about how we think our marriage is all that in the bag of chips when we really know when I get off the phone, when we get off of this, I'm going in my room, she going back upstairs or vice versa. We sleep in two different sides of the house and I don't talk to her, she don't talk to me. But tonight, everybody thought, oh my God, the Murrays, they're so awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but we didn't always have it this way.
Yes.
We had levels of learning, and levels of living, and levels of loving that we had to learn in and be inspired in.
I agree.
A pastor that helped us reunite told us, listen, man, you have to love your wife into submission. And my wife may piggyback on that. That wasn't her thing. That submission thing. That was the word itself caused her to she said scratch and feel like something wasn't right with that word. And if you want to just throw that in about that part.
Well, that was before I really didn't understand what submission was. So my take on submission during that time was, if he say jump, I'm supposed to say how high. And just like he's an alpha male, I consider myself an alpha woman. We had similar jobs. I was a correction officer, he was a police officer. We were
Okay.
telling people what to do every day. And then even when I transitioned to management, and he's a police officer, so we still tell people what to do every day. So there was just no way that I felt like I had to work 9+ hours and then come home and be his slave. So that's what submission to me at that time meant, until but then I had to learn that that's not really what submission means. Submission just means that I need to honor him.
Okay.
And there's different ways that I can honor him, rather than we both walking in the door at the same time and I'm making sure his bath water is ran and I'm bowing down. It's different ways that I can submit to
Right.
my husband.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought that up, if I could chime in for the benefit of our viewing audience, what can you say one of those or even two of those ways you can submit? You said there
Well,
are different ways.
right. So one way to submit is making sure that I don't be an embarrassment to my husband, making sure that I don't embarrass my husband. So if a lot of times people will see I'll allow him to speak, even though there may be something that he may say something that I don't 100% agree with. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't tell you all that I don't
Uh-huh.
agree with it. I honor and submit to him by afterwards. I'll say, hey, what did you mean about that? Talking to him, he has this saying, don't what you say, don't stumble people. No, let God
Deal
work
with
with
you
you
in
in
private,
private so you don't stumble anyone
in public.
in public. So one way of honoring and submitting to him is
Cover them.
yeah, covering him and honoring him. Another way to submit to him is just pure unadulterated agape loving him. And that covers a multitude of things. Um like you said, we've been together for 33 years. So there's times when we'll have an argument. I mean, a deep down, no, not an argument, what we call it,
Tense
Intense
fellowship.
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 Intense fellowship.
Mhm.
So we'll have very intense fellowship because I don't know if you know it or not, but I can be kind of strong headed sometimes. And he's very strong headed all the time. So, yeah. So we have very intense fellowships sometimes. But then 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, dude, let's go to the movies. So that I can submit to him by not being that, by not, I guess, like causing him to be upset all the time or keeping him, you know, upset. Sometimes I internalize myself, but I keep it to myself, or I talk to God about it, but I don't worry him with it. So I mean, it's there's different ways. It doesn't mean that you have to be. God put us. I'm His help meet. I'm not. The Bible doesn't say I'm His help slave. It says I'm His help meet. I'm there to
Right.
honor Him and push Him up. I have an analogy that we both start here, and my job is to lift Him up I put him on this pedestal by lifting him up. Once I lift him up, it's not for him to just leave me down there and he stay up there all high and mighty. His job now is to reach down, grab me, and put me next to him. I'm supposed to be next to him, not underneath him or behind him. So then at the same time, I just keep pushing him up, raising him higher. And the higher I raise him, the higher he takes me with him. So his success is my success. So
Amen.
that's how I can be submissive.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for
Phyllis,
that.
do you have anything that you want to say on the loving levels? Because she brought up, there's different levels, and loving levels are different too.
Yeah, they are. I know me and my husband, we were kind of going over some things, and I remember when we first started. We've been together since '88, going on 36 years, 35 or 36, I can't remember. But anyway, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
And I remember when we first came together, of course, it's the honeymoon phase. Everything is just wonderful. It don't matter what you do, you love everything.
Yeah.
Then there comes another level, and you start having some challenges. You get to know each other, and you think, I didn't know you did this a year ago.
Uh,
Huh.
Yep.
And then when you get to that phase where there's just different levels, and then you start having children, and then this starts having. There's so many different levels. Now, me and my husband now we're on a level where we're the empty nesters. But one of the things that I can honestly say we've always been relevant in each other's life. So even when we first started together, we learned how to be friends with one another. We would play games with one another. We would play, even to this day, play domino. We can do everything just me and him. We
mm,
don't need anyone else, outside of us. We entertain each other. We love being around each other. When we start having the children in the home, we would always vacation together. We would never, sometimes we would take the kids, but we always purposed to be purposefully took just me and him. Every 2 to 3 months we would go somewhere by ourselves because we didn't want to lose each other, because we knew there was possibility one day that there would be no kids, and we didn't want to just say, oh, who is that person, once the kids were gone. We wanted to make sure we stayed relevant in each other's lives. So I don't know if Reggie want to say anything about that, but those levels have really you change, and the relationship should be growing.
Mhm.
And I
What you
would
guys say
say,
about these levels and devils?
well, I would say, we definitely have learned each other over the years, and as my wife said, starting off, it wasn't always easy, but it took us to learn each other. It took us to be able to compromise with each other. We both, again, as Pastor and First Lady said, we both were strong-minded and strong-willed, and somebody had to be willing to say, you know what, you're right, I was wrong this time. And what I realized, I mean, although there's different levels, the devil can have a presence, but he have no power.
Uh,
And one of the things that we realized, and I determined a long time ago, we don't go to bed mad, sad, upset, or not speaking.
Yes.
Those are things that we do not do. We
Amen.
fix it before we go to bed, because ain't no, this is my side of the bed and this your side of the bed. Ain't none of that stuff. So we make sure we take care of all that before we close our eyes, because somebody may not wake up the next day. And the
Mhm.
last thing we want to do is have regrets. And so, although the devil might try to have a present, but we don't allow him to have no power. And
Mhm.
so, we determined a long time ago, before we go to bed, we got to fix it. The Bible said, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." So we try to
Mhm.
make sure we take care of all of that before we go to bed, because although we have a king size bed, when you split it, it become cold on one side. I
you
moved,
feel
I
that?
wouldn't
You
know
feel
it.
that
for a
kick
reason.
side?
I moved to Florida for a reason. I don't like the cold no more.
No,
so
no.
so we ain't doing that, but we just purposefully, that, if we love each other enough, we're going to fix it before we go to bed. And so we don't give the devil no time to ride in our home. We figured that out a long time ago. Now, there was times now when she had her side of the bed, I had my side, and I would put a pillow in between, you know but that was early on. But we realized a long time ago, and nobody can go to sleep. We act like we were asleep, but nobody got sleep that way. So
No.
why put yourself through that torture? Fix it. So
Yeah.
that's those are the levels in which we have come so far, and we've been together so long. We first started, I had hair. That's just how long we've been.
Listen, listen. We're gonna go there. Does any of our viewers want to have a comment or have something to say about the levels and how the devil can come against them? Any of your own questions or comments that you want to have on the floor for the speakers to address concerning that? Any of your own stories that you feel comfortable and free to be able to mention or highlight to get some feedback on as well. Definitely come through the comments with those statements and those questions. Right now, they have it's a lot of preach. That's true. Help somebody, as Jody Lovely says. Um, that it's good talking. First Lady and Lady Palmer is they're responding very well, saying things are very good. Um, they're also laughing along with you because we have a lovely crew. So I had a question pertaining to the levels and the devils as well. When it comes to understanding you're at a particular level, no matter which one it is, how do you come against the devil? And how do you identify that it's the devil and not your mate? Because I know
Hmm.
sometimes we like to say it's the devil when it's really the person that's like not letting something go, or they're not trying to move up to the next level or graduate or whatever the case may be. So how do you identify that it is the enemy that you both have to come against? And then what do you do when he's really trying and y'all can't seem like y'all can't come together?
Well, I would say one of the things that we used to do a long time ago, and we have now re-implemented it back to our home. Before I leave the house every single day, we pray together,
Okay.
and we petition God to protect our union. We petition God to keep us together, and there's going to be some times when you don't see eye to eye, and when those times come, what we have learned, we understand each other trigger words. We
Okay.
understand when it's time to give each other that space, that time. And then so instead of, because once two people hit a peak, nothing else matters at that time. And so,
Okay.
regardless of how much you're trying to figure it out and work it out, if both of you guys are on a 10, nothing, no one say going to matter at that point, because at that point, no one is now listening. Both
Right.
people are trying to get a point across. And so, we had to learn when to say when in our marriage. Okay, I would say, okay, maybe I would give a look or something. That mean, okay, I'm going my way, I'm going, you going your way for now. But then we find a way, once we both get to a point where we're leveled enough to come back together and discuss that thing. And it's before those lights go out in our home. We come back and we make sure that we fix whatever's supposed to be broke, and so you have to be willing to give each other time, and just because you might be ready, he may not be ready. And just
Uh,
because he ready, she may not be ready. And so we have to be able to recognize and understand those things. And it comes with practice. It's not something that is you do at the beginning of a relationship. That comes with knowing each other over a period of time. And once you get to that point, you understand that, honey, maybe we need to take a break from this, and we'll come back and we'll rehash it before we go lay down. So you have to know each other well enough to know each other triggers, and know when the next person is to a point where maybe I need to back off. Somebody can have to back off, and it don't make you right or you wrong, but you have to be willing to say, you know what, honey, this is not getting us anywhere.
uh,
I'm in total agreement with Pastor Palmer, and me and First Lady as well. We every morning is a prayer morning. As a matter of fact, our whole family, we have a text group that everyone has a day to pray in the group text as a family as well, so that responsibility is given to the whole home, uh, which I think encourages us all to know where we are and where we may not be. But I would also say, it's as you grow into this thing, as you go into new levels, it's picking your battles. I think is what I'm learning as I get older. I say this a lot because it's really, really precious to me now. I am so conscious of the time that I believe I have left in the world. I'm not saying I'm going anywhere tomorrow, next week, or next month, but I treat every day like, so I'm conscious of the things I do, how I want to set things up, how I want me and her day to go, or a week to go, or a weekend to go. We're getting ready for our 33rd holding of hands here in March.
uh,
And I just got this epiphany. I was online and something pinged up and it said, hey, 4-day cruise. And plain as day, God said, if you don't ping on it now, you're not going to get it. So I clicked on it, sign us up. I said, babe, I just signed us up 4-day cruise. She's like, what? Oh my God.
don't play with. Don't say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to be honest, and I'm the stickler of the money. When it comes to me, I'm the one who I believe that, yes, have fun, but you got to always be prepared for what could happen if I fell sick or I wasn't able to work anymore. What do we have in place? How are we preparing ourselves that our children will be taken care of if something happened to us? So I'm always thinking of those ways about it. So to step out and do something spontaneous, that's more her thing. She's very good at being spontaneous, and so we kind of work yin and yang together. That's what we use, the verbiage. She's the one that said, hey, I got the trip, let's go do this, and she'll plan it all out, and she'll draw it all out, she'll make it all out. I'm like, well, okay, where I gotta be, what time I gotta be there. Sometimes she may think I'm not excited about going. It's just like, okay, I'm glad to go. But when I did this cruise, I was excited. I was talking to her. I can't believe it. We're gonna go, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and we do this. And I said, look, don't spend no more money. Stop. Don't do nothing else. I want to get on this boat, and I don't want to get on this boat, and we can't have fun. We can't buy nothing, and I can't go nowhere, and we can't, So I'm acting like a little kid. And she usually asks the same question. She always asks, "Well, the kids going?" No, they ain't. Not damn one of them. Nowhere near. They can drop us off at the
Yes.
boat and then come back and pick us up at the boat. Thank you. That's where we
Yeah.
at. And those who are having those generation of years now, and even if you got little kids, listen, guys, all you're gonna have is memories. And if
Yeah.
all your memories of what I did for my kids, 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 and you can't even write 10 things you did for your husband.
Uh,
And that's not our situation.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make it clear because they don't know us out there.
Yeah.
In the,
Or 10 things you didn't do for your wife.
uh-huh.
You're
Let's make
wrong.
it clear and plain.
You're wrong.
Okay.
Because not if but when your children move on, and
Move
all
on.
you got
Is you
is each
too.
other.
That's
All
it.
you're gonna have is wrath.
Mhm.
You ever wonder how people be together for 10 and 20 and 30 years, and then once the kids are grown, they
They don't.
divorce?
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be happening,
It happens a lot.
you know. So you have to ask yourself, what levels did I miss?
Uh,
Mhm.
You know, what maintenance did I not get done?
all right, all right.
To keep my home running effectively, that now the value of my home has depreciated.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
and I wanted to chime in as far as how do you know it's not your spouse, that it's the devil. So one of my 4 degrees is sociology. So me,
Listen
I
here,
always
4 degrees. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I look at a person's the history of the person, that family that person was raised in. Um and that'll tell you a lot about how that person acts, their demeanor, their characteristics, and your marriage. So I came from a mother and father, a 2-parent home. He came from a one parent
No,
with
just
this.
had a stepdad. It wasn't no good.
He came from with his mom raised him. So so
That abusive home.
so yeah, so everything that I did, it was me, you, and the kids, because that's how I was raised. So we bumped heads a lot, and a lot of our arguments were because we were raised different. We came from 2 different environments. um I know you guys know nature versus nurture,
Nurture.
nature versus nurture, yeah, that one. But I'm a nurturer, and you, I don't know what he is. but but he's very strong minded, and he's very strong minded. So me, what I had to learn when he would say things, instead of, because I used to be very hot headed, I would fly off in a second. So what I had to learn is how to control first myself, because if he's already on a 10, I don't need to match him, first of all, unless I'm really just trying to fight. If he already on 10, I need to come into it and say, you know what, babe, you right. Even though I'm saying to myself, he is wrong. He has no idea what he's talking about. Like you said, somebody needs to know when to tap out.
Yeah.
And when you have what we call an alpha male, you're not going to win every fight. You may win a couple of them, but when he's already up there, I'll just say, you know what, babe, you right. You know the saying, live to fight another day.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And if your relationship was truly ordained by God, let me tell you, it is not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, because
Yes.
the devil do not want y'all together.
That's
Uh,
it.
Yeah.
So he's going to attack you. But what you have to do is you have to see it for what it is.
all
Mhm.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And you can't fall into that temptations.
That
You can't
trap.
fall into that trap, because
Mhm.
that's what it's meant for. The Bible said, what God has put together, let no man put us under, which also can be is
Yeah.
you and him. He's not going to let you put it to us under also. So yeah, so sometimes it's not, I don't want to say if it's him or the devil, because it's all the devil. sometimes we give them a little help. Reverend likes to say, "You're always accusing the devil of something," and he's saying, "I can't be at two places at one time. That was all on you." So yeah, so you have to be able to, be listening. And we as women, I like to say, yeah, we get the short end of the stick. I'm gonna say that we get the short end of the
Okay,
stick
how so? How so?
because because a lot of times men, you guys, you're not going to tap out.
uh,
So if we want the argument to end, we as women, it's not that we giving up our it's not that I'm giving him all the power. I have the most power because I know when enough is enough. Because see, an argument
uh,
takes two people, right? It
Lord.
takes two people.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna sit here and argue with himself. So when I
Ooh.
tell him, when I end it, who got the upper hand?
But that's
I got
hard
the upper hand
sometimes.
because I'm the one that ended it. Now, if you want to
Oh,
keep being mad and you want to argue with yourself. But babe, you know what? I love you, and it's all over. And all you got to do is you got to know how to, rub that head and, you know,
I have Ingrid did say, which is what you guys are already kind of tapping on. What if what if you have a situation where your spouse always has to be right and have the last word? And I'm gonna piggyback to that. What if you don't want to say, "Oh, honey, you was right," because they're so not. So you don't want to give that comment up when you know that comment ain't nothing but a
Well,
lie.
I,
welcome to marriage.
well,
Yeah,
I would say that is still part of the growing pains
yeah,
because you're still learning one another,
yeah.
and I can be a little forward. However, if it is something I'm not sure about, I'll just say, okay, babe, all right, I'll back out of it. But if I know what I know, it's not because I want to win. It's because I'm sure of what I'm speaking about. But I still have to learn how to say, you know what? We'll live to fight another day. I'm a very big researcher about just about everything, especially
Okay,
things that deal with a lot of stuff.
all
So
men are researchers. They think they
no,
right about everything.
no,
Logical, yes,
yeah,
logical.
Well, this is 14 days of love.
yes, yes, yes. But
Okay.
the embellishment of it all at the end of the day is I I want to make sure that I don't lose. No one needs to lose position.
All right.
If we're going to argue about it, and I'm going to be right just for you to feel less of a woman, then we just need to let it go,
Yeah.
and vice versa. If you need to win the argument just for me to feel less of a man, then we need to. We're defeating the whole real purpose of why we're even conversing and talking about it. I always say this analogy: everything right ain't righteous. You can be
Uh,
right
Hmm.
and still be wrong.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if we're not allowing God to give us what to say and how to speak, then we're
Hmm.
doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And if we're doing our own thing, even though it's right, everything we're saying is black and white, it's correct, it's accurate, it is not fulfilling. And if it's not fulfilling, then the marriage cannot sustain itself.
I,
Go ahead,
and
sis.
I wanted to also say something to Ingrid, because one of the things that I had to learn very early on is how to compromise. Um, that's a very hard thing to do, especially when you're strong willed. And if you have a strong willed partner, sometimes, and I know everybody wants to win the argument, win the point, win whatever it is. Like Pastor and First Lady and my husband said, you got to live to fight another day, because sometimes you get to a point where you're bumping heads so badly. Sometimes the things don't even really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do my husband's like, he don't like to argue. I'm the type, I want to get my point across. I want him to hear me. I need him to hear me. I have a problem with you not hearing me. And he's like, I'm shut down. I ain't saying nothing. I'm through. And so when that happens, and I had to learn how, you know what, I'm just going to have to find another way of coming into this. I have to find another way around it. I have to,
Yeah.
if it's that important to me, I may lose the battle that time, but you better believe I ain't gonna lose the war. And
Yeah.
so I have to find a way to compromise at that moment. Doesn't
Okay.
mean that I'm not being heard. It doesn't mean that I'm not being, my voice is not being, heard or fulfilled. I just have to find a way around it and make maybe a different approach at a different time, at a different position might bring about a different answer.
Yep.
If
Okay.
y'all know what I mean.
Yep.
So it's important for you to make sure compromising is so important in a relationship. You bumping heads all the time, guys. It's just so much time that is wasted when you are
Hmm.
arguing, and the air is thick when you mad at each other. The
Uh,
air is thick. You can't get nothing going on. You can't even pray when you and your spouse is at.
listen.
You really
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
So
Right
it's
there.
so really it behooves us. And then what happens is it's such a buildup. Pressure busts the pipe,
Yep.
it's a buildup
Yep.
and it don't stop, just like an outbreak, algebra. You miss one, level of algebra and you are never going to get the right answer. And that's
Right.
the same way with marriage. You cannot skip levels. You can't go around it. You're going to have to find a way to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say one thing I learned that through all the arguing and different things like that, one thing you can't get back is time. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Uh,
I don't have time to waste arguing,
uh,
And so if it comes to that, I'd rather shut down and not entertain it because one thing that I've learned, you can say something and once you say it, you can't take it back.
Take it
that's
back.
true.
And so instead of saying something that is hurtful, I keep my mouth shut, and I become deaf. I can't hear what you're saying. Although your mouth is moving, I can't hear what you're saying. And then later we'll come back and we'll discuss it because at that moment we're not going to get anything across, but our fellowship going to get more intense. And
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
therefore I rather not say anything. But one thing you can't get back is time. And time is very precious, and so I don't want to waste our latter days with arguing and different things like that all the time because now it's just me and her home. And so I will not come to home to a house when there's only two of us here.
Yeah.
We worked hard to get these just two of us here.
Exactly.
And I will not let
Exactly.
the devil come here late. So
Exactly.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Listen,
I
Luther
like to
said a
add
house is
that.
not a home when the two of
Exactly.
us.
Yes.
I want I want to add that compromise. There's a difference between compromise and domination too.
uh,
Yes.
talk about
Okay,
it.
because I think Ingrid was saying it sounds like Ingrid was saying that if she feels like either I don't know if she's the top end or the bottom end of this, but it sounds like that one of those two people is always dominating the conversation, meaning they always feel like they're the winner in it, or somebody's feel like they're the loser in it.
Uh,
That's not what it's about. And then you have to kind of ask, if a person feels strongly about something, why? Why do they
mm,
feel so strongly about it? And it could be past history, it could be trigger moments, it could be trigger situations, it could be episodes, whatever it is that may be going on. For someone to feel that strongly about something that maybe as trivial as you parked on my side of the driveway, now we got sides, why would they be that upset about where someone parked, what's really going on, what's
right.
behind the
Look
scenes that
deeper.
they're not communicating to you. And that's where you really want to get down to is, well, babe, what's really wrong? What's really going on? Where am I? Where can I help, if I can help at all? And sometimes the helping is just letting them say whatever they want to say, not taking it personal, which sometimes is hard when you know when you have built so much of who you are. You have to be very careful because it's also very delicate about who you are. When you have worked, most people who are not quote unquote offended because they haven't really done much to have anything to be proud about. You see
Uh,
what I'm saying? So when you begin to feel proud about, say you brought yourself out to Mari Clay by the help of the Lord, you feel like you're somebody. You're very, very delicate. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's real. And because you're delicate, you have to also channel yourself into knowing that sometimes people just don't agree with you, and that doesn't mean you're not a good person. Doesn't mean you don't love God, but you can't let every conversation cause you to say, okay, so what you mean? What's what you talking about? You know?
Uh,
So you kind of have to work on that because you don't want to be dominating every conversation as well with your spouse, because then your spouse either doesn't tell you something, or dare I say it, they begin to tell somebody else, and that somebody else might be of the opposite sex, and
mm.
next thing you know, it's conversation. Then next you know, it's participation.
Oh,
Is this making sense?
yeah, it makes
I'm
sense.
not
Is it
saying
making
it's
sense,
right.
y'all?
I'm just saying it's real, because a third party doesn't mind hearing your story because they're not accountable.
Right.
So they'll let you talk all night at the hotel room.
Oh,
Mm.
Catch
listen.
all back if you can. So you got to be very, very careful about dominating in anything that you do with your spouse. Your spouse should feel welcoming in conversations, but we're all human, and I can only speak about where I am. I know the things that I'm asking God to work on me with, because as I get older, what I do with my wife is so important to me now than it's ever been before. What I do with her, where we go, where we're at, what we're doing, why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, because I can sense and I can see, and in pastorship you spend a lot of time with people. I just spent the last week with a young lady whose husband finally passed away today, but I've been visiting with them at the hospital and watching her sit, and I'm thinking of my wife while I'm sitting there. Wow, how could my wife sit there and watch me fade away like that? I
Mm.
got to get time with my wife. See what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't think about that until it's the death and those
Late.
things happen. But death is real.
It
Yes.
And so we
is.
don't want to waste that. 14 days of love, let's make some love then. Not
Listen.
14 days of like.
Yeah.
Right, right, and really understanding what that love looks like, because you got to get past the hard part. So we go to the comment section. Avery said wise nuggets. Jordy said yes, she is still learning. Charles, yep, just let it go. Massive mobile window tinting. This is actually Ingrid's husband, James, but he is also chiming in from his while he's working. Sorry, compromise is what makes a healthy marriage. Farrah says sometimes you have to lose to win. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Avery said he is learning a lot tonight. Massive Mobile also said it takes maturity to just let the argument go. And we know that is sometimes, the hard part, because you feel like you lost or they didn't hear you if you let it go. Um, Pastor Jordan says, say so, Pastor. Finding out what is the root of the problem is the key. Third party has their own agenda. It's about fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about fault, it's about focus. And Ingrid also came back and said, our thing was there is no coming back to talk about it because nothing will get resolved. That's a past issue that they're learning to communicate much better over the years. So they've learned that sometimes coming back to it sometimes is not the thing. It's sometimes we have to just completely say
Let
that
it go.
that conversation is over with,
Yeah.
move on, and don't even come back to it. Because like you said earlier, why? What is the actual problem? What are we actually talking about? If it was just something that was minuscule, we ain't got to come back to that conversation later, because it really died down with the space that Palmer talked
Mm-hmm.
about earlier. It died down with given the time that Reggie, talked about earlier. So it's important to know when to retreat, what we're
Yeah.
actually talking about, because I'm getting more upset because you're not hearing what I'm actually saying, because you're still talking about the thing that this thing started with, and it's beyond that at this point. And that's the part that gets us to the happy spouse happy house, because you are really trying to understand the foundation. You're
Mhm.
really trying to understand the root. You're really trying to understand, how do we get back to um the love that we felt, the joy, the home. Is it even interesting when you spoke about the levels, because there are levels in houses.
Yeah.
And so you don't
Mhm.
always stay in the living room. Sometimes y'all go to the kitchen, and that's when we are creating and we are participating in something and we're sharing something. And sometimes we're in the living room where we're having fun and we're comfortable. Sometimes we're in the bedroom where we're being romantic and loving. And we never want to be in the place where you're in the garage and I'm somewhere in the other room. And it's
Mhm.
metaphorically so, because we're in two different places and we don't know how to come back to both being in the living room at the same time, both being in the kitchen at the same time. And so it's important always to go back and kind of figure out, the temperature or the degree of the house,
Mhm.
There you
at that point. I want to move on to the next part that Palmer Phyllis almost kind of chimed in on earlier, and kind of bring it to a close with that. So we talked about the importance of a house versus a home, like really understanding that in the metaphor of that. We talked about the fact that we have levels and we kind of spend a little time there because, hey, that's a real conversation. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this. Hello, somebody. But she also mentioned the relevance of each other because at some point you're going to have an empty house if you have children.
go.
But even
Mhm.
with the children in the house, you still got to be relevant to each other instead of always only seeing each other as mommy and daddy. But you never see
Mhm.
each other as husband or wife, friend or bestie, lover. You don't see each other like that anymore because the agenda is the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids. So can we talk about that real quick of Phyllis and Reggie, if you could chime in and talk about the importance of making sure, and even maybe even how to make sure that you keep the person that you married relevant. And and I kind of want you to bring it up because we have some people who have blended families and blended households, and we get into that part of, well, my children come before. Wait a minute, no, the spouse comes before the child, even if
Yeah.
the child came from your womb or from somebody else's womb.
Amen.
That's still the order, and that's still the important part of the happy spouse, happy house. So can y'all chime in on that a little bit?
Yes, of course. I'll start. First of all, we had all of that. We had, yeah, we had all of it. Blended family, step kids, step mama, step this, step that, and on top of that, more kids. So we always made sure we were each other's friends. I cannot stress enough how important communication is and will
Uh,
continue to be. Communication is key. Um, if you are not talking to your spouse, you're talking to somebody,
oh,
point blank.
all
You're
right.
not talking to your spouse, you're talking to somebody. And so I learned a lot of what not to do from my parents because we all come in with baggage. We all carrying a big old load of something from
All right.
previous relationships, previous marriages that we've seen or even encountered or even was a part of. We're carrying baggage into a relationship. So we communicated and there was ways we had to learn how to communicate. We had to learn how to make sure we knew each other's triggers and we recognized those things and we kept it, in the forefront. But I want to say that it's important that you spend time together. Communication and time is so valuable. Like Pastor said, we think we got a lot of time, but I learned they always said the older you get, time just seems like it. I just feel like the year just started, and here we are, a third of February gone, a third of February already gone, and the year
Uh,
just started. And so time
Mhm.
goes by so fast. And it's so important for us to spend that quality time together and communicate together. So I don't know if Reggie want to say anything, but yeah, that's very important.
Well, I would say at one point we had my nephew, my niece, my son, my cousin. We had four different kids playing three different sports at one different at any particular time.
Yeah.
And so she was gone one game, I was gone to another game. We meet in the middle with the other game. And we were always doing things in reference to the kids. But one of the things that we realized that we had to find time for each other as well. And so although we did things with our kids as a whole, we also found times in which we did things by ourselves, whether it's going on trips together. And then what we started doing, we started having date nights every weekend. Every Friday was a date night for us. That was our time together, away from the kids, because we couldn't lose who we were
Uh,
just attending the kids' games and different things like that. We had to make sure that we continue to see about one another needs. And if I was playing basketball, she was my biggest cheerleader. If she was doing something, if I didn't like what she was doing, I still was her biggest cheerleader. I went and supported things that she did. So we had to support one another, even if something that we didn't like, if we didn't like football, we still went because my wife liked football. If I liked basketball, she didn't like basketball. She went because she, and so we found ourselves that way. We was each other's best friend. And so if nobody else went, we can always count on each other. And so now we're at a position where there's nobody home but the two of us. And guess what? It's easy for us to enjoy each other. I mean, and we work for long. I mean, we have people living with us. We've been together 30 plus years. About 27 or 28 of those years, somebody lived in our house with us.
30
mm,
plus.
And they wasn't always our kids.
uh,
And so now we at a point where no one can come live. They can visit, but they can't stay. I hope some of
you
my
ain't
family
gotta go home.
can hear this. They can
I
visit,
wanna stay.
but they can't stay because I come home. I come home to a home.
Mhm.
I don't come home to a house. I
All
come
Uh,
right now.
home. And
Preach.
so I'm excited when I get home. And ain't nobody home but one person waiting on me to come home.
Mm.
So it makes a big difference versus, hey, daddy, you home? Yeah, daddy's home, and sorry, mama's home too. So it just, it makes so much, it makes your marriage easier when you have went through these levels, all these levels we talked about. And so now we at the final level almost of the empty nest portion of it. So we went through the level with kids and grandkids and brothers and sisters and cousins. Those was all levels in your home as well.
uh,
And so now you at a level where it's just the two of you all, empty nest. And what are you going to do with the nest? Are you going to be in the nest together, or someone going to pluck the other one out of the nest?
oh,
And
listen.
so that's what we have to realize. And so our nest is nice and warm. Oh, yes, Lord. So that's what I would just add to that. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Anybody, any comments in the comment section concerning this particular topic? I know Maston said the children will become adults and leave. You do not compromise for for the children. Um, and I believe having a date night, a standing date night, speaks to the fact that I am still a married couple. I am still in love with this person. I'm still dating this person. Like we have to stay dating to stay relevant. I believe the
And
moment you stop dating, your
let me
relationship
add
is
on
no
the
longer
the
relevant.
date night.
Uh huh.
Date night is not bill night. Let's not talk about bills.
Right.
Let's not talk about what we don't like about our kids. Let's not talk about the church. You know, those things that you've already been talking about all day or all week with your spouse. Date night is strictly about you
You too.
and her, or you and him. You know, it's really about the quality time of one another. Sometimes me and my wife will go to a restaurant and we really don't say much. She'll just take her foot, put it on the table, and put it on my leg. And she may be doing something on her phone, and I may just be sitting there doing something. But it's quality
Always
time.
on your phone.
Now, you know you got to get off of here, right?
He
Listen.
always put it- he puts it on me what he does.
Okay. I think you guys have been out to dinner with us, and so my wife watches movies while we all at the table. Anyway, not to be petty, but to be petty. But anyway, quality time doesn't mean it's always dialogue. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes it's just being in the presence
Mhm.
of
Ah.
one another,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know? And my wife's doing what
Okay.
she want to do, and I'm sitting there doing what I want to do. If I desire more, then I'll tell her I desire more. If she desires more, she'll tell me she desires more. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with laying in the bed and I lay in her lap while I'm watching TV. I ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing. She could be on a computer or doing schoolwork, whatever. But it's that kind of quality time that we're just acknowledging we need each other's presence. Does that make sense?
And that's not to say that you always only like you never talk and you
Right.
never
No,
engage
no, that's not saying that. But I'm saying that doesn't mean that you have to talk
every time.
just to talk. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's different depending on how often you. Like me and my wife, we talk pretty much all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
We pray in the morning, and depending on how busy our days are. Now, if I'm teaching class or something, or she's being bombarded at her job, but sometimes we'll find ourselves. I put her on hold. I'll come back 30 minutes later. She's still on the phone, or vice versa, because we recognize what each other are doing.
Exactly.
But the part of the matter is we communicate throughout. My phone, I say it for a reason. It rings 4 times a day. And when it rings, it tells me to pray and send her something spicy. All right. Now y'all catch that on the way home.
So he sends me a lot of Bible scriptures.
Okay. That's what you want to go on it.
And we
Hey,
got it.
hey, from the Songs of Solomon.
All right, all right.
Right.
Pastor, from the Songs of Solomon.
Solid.
You gonna
Okay.
say that then? Hey,
Right,
gotcha.
right. That's what you want to use. But I'm getting things situated for what we call rib night. That's Adam and Eve, rib night. Y'all get that too. Anyway,
I love it. I swear I
right.
do.
But all of that is important, guys. You know, the things that you do with your spouse, you know, you I don't want to say treat her like a girlfriend, but yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, the things you did like you did to make her your girlfriend, you kind of still got to do those things. You still got to go to Walmart, walk down the aisle, and get behind her and squeeze the shaman. Yes, it's important. Squeeze the shaman. Yes, it's there. Yours, belong to you. So said the Lord.
garbage.
Not immoral and definitely not illegal. Amen. So you need to do those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? All of those things are important and
Yes, they
necessary.
are.
My wife says, you know, I love it when she takes her hand and rubs my head.
That's when I want something.
But that ain't
We know how to get it too.
You know, and I would add too, like when we do date nights, we don't always have to go and spend a lot of money and different things like that. You know, and as Pastor said, it's just all about time. We used to go and as simple as going to Steak and Shake, get a sandwich from Steak and Shake, go downtown and walk through Fun Spot together.
Yeah.
Just little simple things like that. And so date night don't mean you always have to go to an extravagant restaurant. Now every date night is not going to be a Steak and Shake. Okay, now I'm not saying you go to Steak and Shake every date night. Some nights you got, you know, but there's times when, because it's not even about the food, it's just about the time being spent together. You know, and so that's what you have to realize in relationships. It's not about the material things and different things like that. It's all about just the time. Both of y'all had a long day. Honey, let's just go wind down. Let's just go walk through the park or something like that. Let's just go walk through Fun Spot, you know, share a drink or something like that. And that's all it's about sometimes. And so we can't get so caught up with is about going and just always spending. Sometimes all you want to do is just be in the presence of each other with nobody and no care in the world. And that's what continues to grow your relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's okay to even get with other positive couples. Check your inner circle too.
Yes, sir.
A lot of times we're married, but we have friends who are married. Their marriage is in shambles, and we keep wondering why ours won't get corrected. Well, I'm not saying, just being real. You know, positive people like to hang with positive people.
Yeah.
You know, and some people like chaos, and that's cool. It worked for them. But if you know that's not, you know, where you and your spouse are, you got to limit those kind of exposures. You know, we had a chance, you know, 5 or 6 of us from our church, we went together to see a good friend of mine, Patty LaBelle, Norfolk, Virginia, in 1986. That's not the point. But anyway, we know each other, me and Patty.
Every night.
Right. But we went, and we as a couple, we had a great time, you know, and everybody kind of was with their own spouse. they kind of enjoyed this, the concert.
Uh-huh.
And those things you can enjoy in the world, being saved and all that. God still gives you those avenues, and He makes it clean and He makes it pure because your desire is to be with someone you love and have those things that remind you of love. You know what I mean? Those kinds of
Yeah.
things. But it also helps you when you're with couples who also want to feel that same kind of love for their spouses.
Mm.
So that's very important too. Know your inner circle of spouses. What does your
Mhm.
inner circle of spouses look like?
And Pastor, I would say you talk about inner circle, and I was just sharing with the young couple earlier today that my inner circle is small. My inner circle consists of married couples. And so if you're a married couple and your inner circle consists of all single people, then you need to check your circle.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to work. And your circle don't involve your husband or your wife, but all other single people, then you need to really go back and relook at your inner circle. And so you shouldn't be married and in an inner circle full of single people. That
Mm.
just,
Mhm.
that's just saying you want to be single again. So
Right,
you
Uh.
pretty much want to check your inner circle. And so
right,
married people hang with married people. Single people help hang with single people because
right.
they all have the same motives.
That's it. Single people don't want
Uh.
to hear.
You
Yeah, single
definitely
people
have
don't
to
want to hear
check.
about married people stuff.
Yes,
That's why they're single.
Yeah, took over her
Amen.
show.
yes.
Hey man, I think that was some good nuggets. Again to the chat. Quality time is going back to the compliments of each other, like that first date years later after being with one another. Jordan says, I do have a powerful inner circle, and Ashley says it's the simple things. And it's trying to remember that. And as we're talking about happy spouse, happy house, it's understanding there's levels and you have to be cognizant of the levels that you guys are on, which level you are at. Therefore, if you're cognizant of that, then you can kind of understand maybe the tactic and the tool that the enemy is going to use, because he's not that intelligent. He's going to try to bring that same thing back around and see if it hit on the next level. And if it hit on the next level, like at the last level, he going to keep using the same tactic. So at some point, understanding what level you're on, so you know when the enemy is coming in and how he's coming in. Doing the simple things of praying over each other in the morning and making sure that you're speak to each other. Communication is key. Maintaining a date night is key. Making sure that you still treat them like the boyfriend girlfriend and have that kind of energy, as well as making time for each other and not just always making it about the children, so that when you do have that emptiness, because it's going to come, then you're not trying to learn each other all over again. Or I don't even know this person, I don't even know if I still like this person, who are you, I didn't know you did that, because that's all you guys knew was the roles that you played as parents. And then of course we talked about um always making sure that your house is a home. And the moment it starts feeling like a house, we need to check some things. We need to look at some things. So I hope you have learned quite a bit from this wealth of wisdom and wealth of knowledge, and these years of marriage on the line between the both of them. We at 60, child. What you talking about? Okay. Hello, somebody. We got a whole grandmother of marriage on the line. So hopefully you've learned enough and a lot, and the wisdom to know that if you're going to make it the 30 some years, you're going to go through these levels. You're going to go
Mhm.
through these challenges. You're going to go through these things. It's about how you come together to go through them that makes the world of difference. So we got a little raffle time and then we out of here. So I appreciate you again. You know you have to be present to win. So if I call your name and you're here, I need you to hit me up in the chat that says I'm here, or I'm going on to the next person. So the first, I'm not gonna look because I want y'all to seem like you just gave it to somebody. Let's talk about what y'all gonna get. There's three different things that's gonna go off tonight. The first one, because we're talking about date night, we're gonna plan a date night. One of the
Fuzzy
things,
handcuffs.
handcuffs, no, that's tomorrow.
Ah.
Tune in tomorrow for Touch Me, Tease Me, and we're going to do a raffle for lovers and friends, because you should be a lover and a friend. Hello, somebody. But
Right.
tonight, we're going to do,
God.
for those who live in the Orlando area, so hopefully who are pulls from the Orlando area, it is a picnic for two sponsored by Nettie G's Cuisine. So what is happening with this? She's going to come to your home. she's going to give a little decor, and then she's going to provide a catering experience to you and your spouse. So it's kind of like a little cute little,
Oh,
a little something a little
yeah.
different. And she has great cuisine. She's actually going to do the cocktail hour food at our wedding. So, little plug, little shameless plug there. So the winner of the picnic for two, the in-home picnic for two, do we have Sonia and Marvin Alls on the line?
Oh,
Do we have Sonia and Marvin on the line? Now listen, you
Yeah.
gotta be here to win. I need you to say I'm here if you are in the building. And I think that's who Spontaneous Sonia was, but I need you to chime in, because if I don't hear from you, I'm going to the next person to win.
she
Uh-oh.
said,
Picnic for two, picnic for two. Now Charles responded, but that wasn't for him. He's saying it's
Well,
nice. That's nice. That's nice.
Ah.
All right.
going once.
Going once, going twice.
Sonya, chime.
On to the next one. The
She said
rash.
she's here. She's on there.
Where?
She says,
Where?
yes,
Oh, there
I'm
she
Oh,
here.
there
is.
she go. There she go. There she go. All right. All right.
Yeah, simply
Spontaneous
spontaneous.
Sonya.
Simply
Yeah.
spontaneous Sonia. So this is gonna be spontaneous for you guys. So I will make sure I get that information over, link you guys up so you can schedule when that date night will
Oh,
be.
that's nice.
I
Hey,
give you
y'all
$10
know
for that, Sonya.
Wow.
$10, two $5 bills.
Not two $5 bills. Okay, we have another date night. And this is a $65 gift card to a restaurant, a Landry's restaurant. So there's
Ooh,
various
Landry.
ones there. Now 65 may not pay for the whole meal, but I promise you it's
It
gonna make a
won't.
dent.
It'll put a dent in it though.
Just
It'll
put it
put
there.
something in it. You at least
Yeah,
get one
don't get no
person and a
soap.
half.
Yeah, get water.
We'll share the appetizer and get out of there. Come on home.
Listen, don't do it that way. Don't do it that way. It's still good eating. It's still good eating. Okay, so you got the Rainforest Cafe, Bubble Gumps, just to name a few. The
Saltgrass is on there too, right?
Saltgrass,
Yeah.
Gordon Steakhouse. So, like I said, if you bring an extra $30, you'll be all right. All right. So, let's see who that is. Hold on. This is for Jaquan and Jerry.
Now I know Jerry's definitely here.
Jaquan and Jerry.
Awesome.
You
She didn't say nothing. She's not on
Now,
there.
listen, you gotta say, listen. Right, she just said something. All right, Jerry, you gotta say, I'm here if you hear.
Oh,
You
sorry,
gotta
somebody
say,
on the
I'm
case.
here in order to get it.
I'm here. There it is.
She did. There you
There
go.
we go, there we go, there we go. So we got her. And then the last one
Jerry, I sell you $10 right now.
is this lovely box where it is, You Are My Person, art piece. There is a couples devotional booklet in here, and it's not what you think. It's actually breaking down different things you can do to devote yourself back to your partner. So it's not just like a scripture reading. It does have some scriptures in there as well, but it talks about communicating, it talks about date night, it talks about taking time, talk about rubbing a foot, it talk about giving a massage. It's just various ways for you
Got
to
any
devote
lotions in there?
yourself. I actually have. Do I have a candle in here?
He said lotions.
Listen, he's talking about some
It ain't
stuff, but
that
he's
good.
talking about it.
Ain't no scented lotions in there.
Not in this one. Not in this one. I'm looking at this. Not in this one. I'm sorry, but you
That's
also
tomorrow
get
raffle, Pastor.
a fun date night game as
Listen.
well. So what you do, you spin the wheel, and what it lands on is what y'all gonna be doing, child. So
That's a Presbyterian gift. We need a Pentecostal one.
so I'm not for the message. I'm not for the listen. This is my pastor, and I love him. I swear I do.
I'm just saying. Something to speak in tongues on.
Jesus.
This would. This one goes to the Palmers. I swear, I just pulled the bag. That's all I did. So this is for the Palmers.
Wow.
They have to get a little.
They
get
didn't
a-
say they're here though.
Ain't no lotion, boy.
They registered.
I
They
didn't say
registered.
lotion. I said devotion.
Devotion.
Oh.
They said as long as you registered, you in here. As long as you
They
registered.
didn't type they were here. They're not here.
I'm
It's
here.
not on the- Oh, they said-
Woo.
Y'all here, y'all here, y'all here. Okay, so
She
we
said,
have the.
Farrah said, worship y'all.
You're so silly.
So So make sure tomorrow it is a pre-recorded video with our sexologist, Jennifer Wills, as well
Good.
as myself, and we talk about touch me, tease me. Now there is a disclaimer: if there's certain things you can't hear, certain words that trigger you, we don't want you to log in. But we are talking about ways to make sure that your sex life is just as important in your marriage, especially over the years and through different kind of things that may happen to you and you having to reconnect and restore. Now that raffle, you have to email me in order to receive that raffle. So it's the first person that after watching that video that emails that gets that box. Now inside that raffle, we have an aphrodisiac cookbook. So different foods and items that you can cook to kind of get ready to be all simmery and spice with your mates. We
Mm.
have a massage oil candle, so you can burn the candle, but it also turns into massage oil, so you can give it a nice little rub, a little rub it on the massaging pots. Then we also have some interesting toys for the bedroom. I mean, hey, and then also with that, I believe we have some candies and some things to keep, kind of make it spicy and fun as well. So that will be an enjoyable package for anybody to win. I didn't name everything that was in there because I want you
There's
to.
a jar of Palmer's ginger tea too.
The goo goo juice.
That's
And
that
pop.
Y'all,
Pentecostal boot,
that's the
Pentecostal
Pentecostal.
bootleg.
Woo.
Right. Charles said it will be a rib night on tomorrow. So
Yes.
again, the email address, I'm going to actually pin it here. I'm gonna give you guys all a heads up because like I said you can win again as long as you watch the video and then respond because the exact details of how to win is at the end of the video, the instructions, because you have to email me a particular phrase. That's the gotcha. So I just put my email down so that you at least have that leg up. Again, thank you all for joining tonight. I appreciate the speakers for coming and the viewers for watching. And until tomorrow, we'll see you soon. Oh, one last plug. Tomorrow is recorded video. Sunday we have off as we watch those Chiefs win the Super Bowl. And
Yes.
then and then on Monday, we have our final live with the Just Male cast only. We have Pastor Michael
Mm.
Rashford, we have Pastor Avery Herring, we have Pastor Stacy Jones, and we also have Brother Jaquan, Jaquan Schaff is
Shaw.
going to come with Love Without Works is Dead. So we're going to talk about what it means to love our men, what it means to be there for them, what they are asking for, what they need, because we know what women want, but what do men want? So we're going to talk about
They
that on
don't know.
Monday nights.
They don't know.
So y'all don't want to tune in. Make sure we are all into this. So until then, we're
Mm.
out. Have a good one.
All
Peace.
right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Go Patriots!
Go Cowboys.
Go Chiefs.
Go
The
Goodbye.
Patriots.